And then you raise the topic and the issue of connectivity, what can be done at this stage. And I can confirm that this is the long-standing position and the elements of the foreign policy of Azerbaijan is the best way to promote the security and well-being. This is good relations with your neighbors. And of course, economic integration. I mean, from this perspective, not only transport connectivity, transit, but also energy project, electricity, cables, etc. So this is something which makes you interdependent in a good sense with your neighboring countries. And this is not only, let's say, the policy as a whole. This is something which has been successfully implemented by Azerbaijan with all neighboring countries. When we talk about East-West Middle Corridor, what, for instance, Azerbaijan, Georgia, together with Turkey did, this is not something which changed the region. This is not something which was very positive for the well-being of our people and societies. This is something which changed the whole map of the region, the major oil, gas, pipeline, east-west transportation corridor. The most recent example, this is of course implementation of Southern Gas Corridor. The second stage with the finalization of which the number of countries which became the recipients of Azerbaijani gas from the Caspian Sea increased from 2 at the end of 2020 to 12 today, when on top of Georgia and Turkey, this is also 10 additional European countries. At the same time, we are quite actively expanding the north-south corridor, also with participation of Russian Federation and Iran. For all those years, due to the policy of Armenia was out from all these projects, because I think one cannot imagine that when you have this type of conflict and occupation of your territory, you will be in a, let's say, economic engagement with the country. And of course, from the recent developments, and that's why at the beginning I said that the new opportunities finally raise with the end of the armed conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But we sincerely believe that the process should be finalized in a proper way. So this is something which has the real ground, which has the legal value, and which is irreversible. My colleague mentioned, and when you hear Minister Mirzayan, this is really very nice statements, and we hear many, let's say, nice statements. Minister Mirzayan made a reference to the recent decision of the Constitutional Court of the Republic of Armenia, and Minister Mirzayan in his statements several times said a reference to several hundred years ago. I will not be making reference to the several hundred years. I will make several references to something which happened only after November 2020, which is the end of the Second Karabakh War. Mr. Mirzayan did not mention that when we talk about the importance and seriousness of this territorial claim in Armenian constitution, this is not something hypothetical. Based on this narrative, after November 2020, between the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of Azerbaijan, there are many international disputes in International Court of Justice, in international arbitration bodies, etc. There are a bunch of documents very recently, in 2021, in 2022, in 2024, the Republic of Armenia continues to submit the document which, based on the same narrative which exists in the Armenian constitution, put under question territorial integrity and sovereignty of Azerbaijan. So this is the recent document. Of course, the statements, they are all good and nice, but there are more important stuff. And when Minister Mirzayan mentions about, some of the threats from the member of, parliaments of some NGOs, of course, in ideal world, of course, it's better to have only the nice statements, but I believe that the more important, position representing the state should be taken into account and should be eliminated if we seriously talk about the finalization of this process, coming to the logical end, and after this, it will really open many additional opportunities for the whole region in a, let's say, holistic way. About the transportation, and Mr. Minister mentioned about some recent proposal from the Republic of Armenia with regard to the opening of the transportation tools. I just wanted to mention a couple of facts. The first, the opening of communication between Republic of, between us. It was proposal of Azerbaijan to be included in the trilateral declaration of November 2020. There is general statement about opening of communication between two countries, and there's a very specific reference about the unimpeded access from the western borders of Azerbaijan with its Nachchivan Autonomous Republic. So because in Azerbaijan we have a unique situation, and the unique situation is that we have two parts of the country which are, separated from each other. And there are all around 40 kilometers of the, let's say, territory of Armenia. This railroad existed back in Soviet time. This railroad, by the way, back in Soviet time, was the part of the Azerbaijan Republic railroad system because it was, the very short part, which was, managed by the Azerbaijani railroad system. During the negotiations in January 2021, until, the active phase was until 2023, then there was, some gap in the negotiations. We did many, let's say, proposals in order to resolve this situation. We agreed to separate highway part from the railroad in order to, let's say, to put on the second stage the more, let's say, complicated part for the Republic of Armenia. But notwithstanding, every time we saw some of the proposals which, from our perspective, and based on the previous agreement which we have in 2020, put under question, let's say, the reliability and stability of this. We do not want to be in the situation when we agree about something, and in 1-2 year period of time, due to some, changes in Armenian legislation, due to some, changes in Armenian power, we will face the same situation which we faced, 30 years ago when the conflict started, and, Nachchivan Autonomous Republic become a hostage of this situation. That's why, so when we talk about from Azerbaijan to Azerbaijan, for us this is absolutely crucial, that this is unimpeded access with all the necessary guarantees that this situation is irreversible and it does not depend on the, political or legal changes in Armenia.